Hi, everyone. So our panel today is, as you can see, it's called Innovating the Way Brands Communicate with Online Audience. And so I think for me, the top line is there is no e-commerce, right? It's just commerce. So because of like these powerful little computers we're all carrying around, we are simultaneously online and offline at the same time, all the time. So that whole thing is merging. And I just wanted to throw out a few of my favorite examples before we started having a chat, just to kind of set the stage, because I think we want to make this all about people doing creative things. And so, for example, now you can create shops online through things like Ticktail and Shopify. Rakuten allows you to do your own online mall, and one of their most popular sellers is a farmer who apparently sells eggs in the post, and he posts videos and blogs about his happy chickens. So, you know, it's really touching every industry as far as I can tell. And then there's the example of Tesco in South Korea, which did like very cleverly, as you guys may already know, kind of joined the online and offline spaces with their virtual grocery stores. So they allowed busy shoppers in metros and bus stations to do their shopping and have it delivered directly to their homes like within the hour. And now they have 21 of those around Seoul, and they're the #1 grocery retailer in the country. So yeah, and like people like Burberry and Kate Spade are using design to kind of make both their websites and their stores have the same experience. So, you know, everything feels really familiar. And even technologies are catching up, and I think you guys talked about this earlier, iBeacon, facial recognition, stuff like that. So I wanted to start off by asking you guys what some of your favorite brands or retailers or products are, and what really clever things they're doing to reach out to people, like why you love it. Who wants to go first?
You know what?
Volunteer.
I can go first, but I was thinking instead of you asking what are those clever things the retailers are doing, and I was thinking of explaining something perhaps not so clever. And you know what? If you're a brand and you run 1,000 shops or 100 shops, and then you measure the customer satisfaction at each of them, and you measure that, you know what, in each shop it's 5%, 4% dissatisfied customers, and one shop suddenly has 30% dissatisfied customers. What would you do as a brand, right? It's a pretty problematic. Now, when we look at how brands sell, when it comes to fashion at least, when they sell items online, you suddenly realize, you know what, not so much here in Asia, but in Europe, the return rate of those things is about 25-30%. It's a measure of customer dissatisfaction. And you know what we did? We looked at those people, consumers, and asked, what do they do next after they received this item that they didn't actually like? And unsurprisingly, 25% of them, most of them, 52% of them said that they took this risk to buy online. They received something they didn't like, and they will, in the future, buy less from this online store. Somewhat surprisingly, 25% said that they took this risk to buy online, and now they are buying more because they are kind of educated. They paid their schooling money. They can make better online purchases. But what is important for the brands is 23% said that they took this risk and they got lousy customer service. And because of this, they are going to buy less from any of this brand's channels, online and offline. And as a result, one of the most important assets of a brand got hurt. That's the trust. And that's not so clever, is it? But
no, I know for sure. Actually, I can't really hear anybody up here.
Oh.
Okay, so you said favorite brands and what we're doing. I'm a little biased, so I run Moxie, and that's the only thing that's been on my head for the past 2 years, and we just got acquired last year. What Moxie is we actually do e-commerce for women. And what my favorite things to do right now in terms of our brand is, and this could be useful for other brands here that actually don't have that much money and you actually want to do a lot of targeted marketing, communicating to your customer out there. We do a lot of offline marketing. I know it sounds expensive, but it's actually not. As part of our offline marketing, what we do is a lot of partnerships. We wouldn't be around here if we didn't have partners. So for example, we target women what we do is we hold women forum groups. We actually have women, what to wear at your interview or whatnot. We have women's help support groups. We have fashion shows that we actually do co-sponsor. We have Facebook groups that are targeted to women, like cheerleading groups in the universities, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, partnerships and a bunch of like really on ground, so you actually know your target consumer, as well as you really understand what they want, and you really get to the person. And yeah, I love doing it. It's so much fun.
Cool, thank you.
All right. What I love brands that put the customer experience first and kind of technology second. A bit like you were talking about. A good example might be something like Tesla, which I'm really upset about because you can't buy them here in Singapore. And if you could buy them here in Singapore, it would probably take me about 10 years to pay them off. But here is a car which has got awesome technology. It's groundbreaking in every way. But they're looking at disrupting the customer experience, how you buy it, where you buy it, how you drive it. It's all about the customer first, and then the technology fills that. I think it's a great example of how you can be high-tech but kind of high-touch. I love those. I love brands which show me kind of their values. Tom's in the US is a brand like that. It allows me to buy and give at the same time. I don't really care whether I'm buying online or offline. It doesn't matter. I know who they stand for and what they mean to me. They invite me into the stores and let me have an experience in their stores. I can use it to hang as a center in a Wi-Fi zone. Brands like that say a lot to me. And brands who disrupt and create new value. I think we were chatting earlier about a friend of mine, Keith Demimi, who runs VML, was telling me there's a kind of an upstart, kind of Uber little company in Jakarta that's taken all the motorcycle riders in Jakarta. And yes, you could get on your app and get them to take you to A to B, but they do more than that. They if you want some groceries picked up, or you want forgotten something in your office and need it picked up, they'll do that for you. So they were in a pitch last week and got into the pitch and left their Post-it notes and their pens behind, and were like, how are we going to get this done? So they went online, got on their app, ordered one of these drivers to go to a stationery store, pick all these stuff, and within 15 minutes it's there. So here are these drivers who didn't have any business before, and they thought they were in the A to B business, but actually they're in a service business. So is that technology? Yeah, technology is empowering that, but it's a customer service approach. So I like those sorts of things. It keeps me interested.
Cool.
One of my favorite offline experience is actually going to IKEA, which is a Scandinavian furniture store. Right? I mean, it's a wonderful concept. Right? You go to IKEA with a family, there's a kids club, you leave your children around and they play themselves. If you are a member of IKEA, they give you free coffee and whatever. As you walk around the store, it's a mock-up of a home, And the beautiful thing is that it's a lot of self-service. You take your own measurements, you take your own thing, and then from there, you go to the counter and say, okay, this is what I want to order, right? So for us as a telco, we ask ourselves, how do we become like an IKEA? How are we able to help our customers serve themselves better without having them to go to the store or actually go to the call center? So this is where, increasingly we find that in Singapore, especially real estate is very expensive. Rents are very, very high. So increasingly we ask ourselves, how do we have a wonderful user experience with our customers so that they can service? So we have a My StarHub app that allows them to check, their bills, and tell us if the mobile signal is weak in certain places, and also order new things. So increasingly, I think, we'll, as a brand, the digital identity becomes key rather than the physical identity. And for us, it's about how we're able to help our customers serve themselves, how we're able to tap on their experiences, whether it's through our mobile service, the TV service, the broadband service, and learn about their habits and serve them better. So some of these things we are doing, and increasingly now we find that the online voice is actually very, very important. So we have a listening hub. We're listening to what our customers say about us in Twitter and Facebook, and from there, manage crisis when there's an outage. And also, if there are some requests for features in some of our plans, we actually respond to it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Heikki, we were talking about this as well. Like, online isn't just another sales channel, right? You suggested that it's a two-way thing. It's like listening and talking at the same time. So, like, what do you guys think about? Do you think that it's very important to listen all the time to your customers and incorporate what they want, or do you, or is it the Steve Jobs model where it's like he knows already what people want before they know they want it themselves? Like, what's more valuable?
I think most companies don't have Steve Jobs around, right? We wish, but in reality, the online has given. Let me tell you what FitzMe has given those online retailers the ability to do what in brick and mortar stores would be quite illegal. We give them ability to look what people do inside the fitting rooms, and therefore to let those consumers tell back to the brands what are their desires, what are their wishes. And this has never been possible in brick and mortar stores. You couldn't quite put up the cameras in the fitting rooms and observe those purchase-making decisions at this level. Now, fashion commerce, it might be the fitting rooms, but then you can listen to the consumer feedback, consumer reviews, the purchase patterns at the level, the data analysis that gives you the level that has never been possible in brick and mortar stores. And you know what I think in the world of the future, when online and offline merges, perhaps the most important person in a retail organization in the brand isn't going to be the director of brands, or it could be the head of e-commerce, the person who actually taps into this really gold mine of data about the people's desires.
Yeah, so data, that's a big boon and also a huge, I don't know, minefield, I guess. So how do you guys use data in an interesting way to do what you do? Mock, you have a lot of data.
I'm an advocate of big data. No, I think the sense is that for a telco, I think one of our key resource moving forward is actually data, right? Because StarHub, for example, is a quad play. We have a mobile service, we have a broadband service, we have TV service, and also a fixed telephony service. So we know, for example, if you're a StarHub subscriber or any telco subscriber, they know within, let's say, a couple of 100 meters where you are. Because everywhere you go, you are tracked by 6 base stations. If you use an app, I know whether you're using Spotify or KKBox or any other music streaming app, right? If you actually enter URL and say, okay, I want to go to certain Facebook or whatever, it's being tracked. So mobile actually is a very, very powerful matrix. And there are many, many location-based applications that's possible because of this. The second thing is that because we're also a TV service provider, 90% of all our subscribers have two-way set-top boxes. So we are able to determine what they're watching, whether they're watching live or whether they're watching through a set-top box, and whether they're switching channels. And the third, of course, is in terms of broadband itself, same thing, right? Any URL you key in, it's actually captured. So for us, is that how are we able to use that data to actually know our customers better? And increasingly by saying that, okay, these are the primary data, what are the secondary data? Like, what are they serving? Who do they talk to? Who is their community? So with this data, for example, we are using it to reduce our churn. In Singapore, it's a very, very competitive market. Mobile is 150% penetration. Churn is very important to us. Are our customers leaving us? If they're leaving us, why are they leaving us? Who do they go to? And second thing is that if the customer calls us or goes to our website, what can we upsell to them based on what they've done before? But beyond that, we also find that our data is important not only to us, but to also many other corporations. The government wants the data to help transport planning. Private sector, whether it's the banks, they want to know, okay, where are the people congregating so that they can place the ATMs at the right place? Transportation, for example, in case there's a train breakdown, let's say in Marble Arch, right? So how do people disperse? And what kind of public transport do they use if it breaks down? So there are many, many of these cases that's why, for us, we think that data could be our next growth opportunity in terms of revenue.
So you're not a telco anymore, you're a data manager.
I shall be humble and say we are a telco, otherwise the government will clamp down on us.
What about you, Shannon?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about that. I mean, I think everybody, being in the digital space, we do a lot with metrics and data and analysis, and then you pivot or you change strategies. I'm not going to get into that. I actually am more on the soft skills or listening to people. So back to that question you had about like listening to consumers. We have a line channel, because we're Thai, right? In Indonesia, we have a BBM channel. People talk to us. Sometimes they just want to talk. Sometimes they're not here to complain, but you kind of listen and you kind of pick up on it, what they like, what they don't like, what's going on, what's in, what's out. Then we also have a Facebook inbox where we get a lot of our complaints there, or I'm actually dialed in as well, and so I'm actually seeing like what they're talking about and and whatnot. And then obviously I'm on ground a lot, and my team is on ground, and the team that I hire, or the team that work with us, as well as our partners, I think we all have the same kind of DNA, so we all kind of are listening at the same things. And then back to your question, do we fix everything based on what they say? It's more of like the majority of stuff that we hear, and then whatever we can to do and prioritize, and if it is an extension of our brand as well. So yeah, that's our data. We try to do a bit of that. I mean, metrics obviously, but you know, this is the other one.
So yeah, we were talking as well earlier about like how you're in like physical spaces a lot, trying to engage with women, because beyond what you're selling, you're trying to reach women, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So like, and this is a question for all of you, like what do you think we can learn from real world selling and buying stuff that online doesn't have yet, you know? So yeah, online is where everybody comes to first, but what is it still lacking? I think you'll have something to say about that. But I want to hear from everyone.
I think online is lousy. It's, you know, you walk to a store and you have this smell of the new leather jacket, and the atmosphere is there, and you've got this feeling, and the brands have invested so much to make this feeling happen. And then you go to this brand's online store and you browse on category pages and click on the product pages, and the emotions is gone, it's lifeless. There's nothing there. Plus, online, by definition, cannot quite communicate so well about the product opportunities. What I do believe, though, it's changing, and it's changing fast. For example, there's a startup in Finland which does mobile screens where you can slide the finger over it and you can suddenly feel it. It feels like this. Or the next moment, it feels like this. You can virtually start touching the items. It fits me trying on garments. One of the things that offline, the real stores give you immediacy. You can get this purchase right now. eBay acquired Shuttle, a very fast logistics company. So I think those benefits of offline are slowly starting to disappear. But let's keep in mind, when analysts say that 1 in 4 shops might be closing in the coming years, they are also saying 75% of shops will stay open. Those benefits will continue.
Actually, for me, we take a lot of learnings from offline because, you know, women, the way we shop is we browse. You know, we need inspiration. We need lookbooks. We need like, oh, what's that girl wearing? What's that celebrity wearing? Men, on the other hand, just need a search bar. It's like, I need a car. I need like black pants, you know, and whatever, right? So for us, like, we take some of these learnings, and then, you know, you would love it at the fitting room if you had a stylist there as well. Okay, this one goes with your shoes and whatever. So we take some of those learnings, and yeah, there's a lot of learnings from offline that we do.
I think my analogy would be the music industry. We all buy digital music. We love digital music. We carry digital music. But hey, rock concerts are still big. And why do we still go to rock concerts? Why do we gather with 10,000 people, get in a queue, go in a line, hang in there? It's for the social experience, and we love it. It just feels more vibrant. And it'll be a long time between a rock concert and augmented reality. It feels like a rock concert. And until that day, you know, this conversation of online versus offline, it'll always be both. Because we love doing stuff like that. And some people love rock concerts, some people love F1, some people like going to see plays, some people like shopping. And the shopping experience, the retail experience, is going to have to become more like a theater. It's going to have to become more like a stadium. It's going to have to be more like an entertainment park. So you'll want to go there, but it'll be wild, it'll be real. And the problem at the moment, we're comparing kind of 1950s infrastructure on retail environments, which was designed when there was no competition, except for maybe the high street. And the high street ended and went to the shopping malls because it was better technology. And now we have an even better technology. We have the convenience of mobile or online shopping. And the retail physical will change. It'll have to evolve and change slower because they've got a lot of infrastructure, but it will change. It can still access all the technology that online can do, augmented reality, search system, visual systems. It'll all have that. It'll just take slower because of the infrastructure, but it'll get there and it'll be even better. And in 10 years' time, when we go to a shopping mall and it's so crazily wild fun, would it go, why were we ever worried? And the space will be used differently. It won't be kind of segmented. It might not be department stores, but it'll evolve and change, and we'll all be happy we were there. And we'll still go out on the weekends and play.
No, I totally agree with Matt that, retail will be an entertainment experience in the future. And an entertainment is a social experience. You go in there and experience and you have, wonderful times with your friends and eat and drink whilst you're doing, browsing and choosing. But on the online side, I'm just amazed at, the speed at which things are moving ahead. From the very, very first time when Amazon was launched many years ago, they had recommendation engine. So you know that if you are interested in that book, who else, what are the books other people are interested in? And now it's like, you won't go to a site unless there's a recommendation engine, right, for example. And my wife recently commented to me, how is it that the dresses in Singapore seems to be much cheaper? Aside from the fact that now, because of the growth in China and whatever, there are many more manufacturers, but because there are blog shops. Increasingly, there are many, many shops providing, all kinds of variety of dresses. And it's just online. If you need to pick it up, either you order online or you go and pick it up somewhere else, which is a very small shop somewhere, And the third, of course, is technology allows us to have so many choices. One example in Singapore is this company called VSense. If you find something that you like, let's say a nice shoe, you take a picture of it and they will tell you, for example, red shoe of this size, where can you find, what kind of prices, and you have more choices. So these are wonderful examples that help drive the online experience, whilst there still be an offline experience that is totally enjoyable.
Great. So we've got some questions in, so I think let's do one now. I hope this works. If not, I'll just read it out. So the question is, if I have a diverse online audience in a single platform, shall I stick to a consistent messaging or voice in my online communication, or cater for the different segments? And how do I do that? You can have 5 seconds to think about it.
This is. Do you want to go first?
No, go
I think there's no single online audience. When I go to online sites, I'm already expecting the site to be personalized for my browsing, right? Now, it's obvious that you have information at the level that in brick and mortar is not possible. You can personalize this experience for every single person, not even communities or segmentations. Do you do that?
Yeah, there's two different things, right? There's like your brand positioning and your voice as a brand. So that's one thing. Like for us, okay, fine, we're women, but there's different segmentations of women, right? There's like the career women, there's the university women, there's the housewife women, there's the, all these other things, all these different types of women. So I don't know, my quick answer, and actually what we do is, if we don't have that much money, I try to segment it first, which target market of those 5 types of women first, and then it's still one main voice, which is my brand, but it's to them. Then, once you finish that demographic, then you go to the university kids, then you go to, all this other stuff. So it depends how much resources you have, but I wouldn't change the voice for each thing, I just target it.
Yeah, I think beauty of also this is play, experiment, learn, adapt, segment. You'll learn. You can spend a couple of months playing to see what works. You can determine who drops out and who comes back in. The beauty of online is you can answer that question yourself. If by experimenting and segmenting and changing and tailoring and adapting, you get more business, you did the right thing. If not, go back again. So just play and experiment, or you'll work it out, I think.
Very true, very true.
No, I think it's marketing 101 that you have to, target a message to your target audience, right? So for us, we have different communities. We use a platform called Lithium that allows us to build community based on gamification. And one community which is very interesting actually is the elderly citizens. And we call this Golden Gurus. So we went out there and had a competition and chose about 5 or about 10 of people who have retired, who are very, very savvy on the computers and who are very, very savvy on the mobile phones, and they became our ambassadors. So they were online in the community to answer questions and to help other senior citizens and retirees to actually address issues, and also how to use the smartphones and so on. So I think it's very important for us, right? Given that we understand, what are the customers' target segment and how are we able to communicate and engage them effectively.
I just maybe also just kind of add to that, which is, there's this two-way targeting, which is obviously as brands and brand owners, platform owners, we're targeting groups of people, but actually people are targeting brands. Sure. And so you've got to be as much as an epicenter of places that people want to come to be enthralled, engaged, excited, surprised, delighted. And sit down and talk about buzz feeds, they'll talk to you about people like random information. They like to be delighted and surprised. So you got to go two ways. You got to not only just segment people and target people, but you got to understand that you're the target and you got to excite people and attract people into your business.
So the old way of attracting people to your business was, you mentioned as well earlier, trust, right? You build up this brand and you're like, this is what we are and we'll never change and that's why you're going to buy me. But that's really different now. Things change, like we were talking earlier about
Were we?
7, we've never met before. No, but 7 different iPads in 2 years or whatever, or more. And so what do you think about loyalty? Does that exist anymore? And if it doesn't exist, how do you get people to keep coming back to you?
So we have a global study of brands, and that what throws out is at the moment 73% of brands that exist in people's households, if we woke up tomorrow and they were gone, people wouldn't care. And so over the last 20 years, there's been a steady decline of trust on brands worldwide. Some of it's about transparency in that we actually see what they're doing. Some of it is actually as expectations have changed, and then we're expecting much more engagement. And some of it is concerned by this almost endless cycle of innovation that we put into the marketplace. And the tech space is no shortage of that. I mean, we're laughing about the success of the Apple iPad, which was launched in 2011, and I think we've had, last count, 8 different versions in kind of 5 years. So we're teaching people that that's out of date, this is new, that's out of date, this is new. And people are in a cycle of actually lack of loyalty, particularly with technology, because they know it's disposable. And we're actively teaching people that new is better than old, and therefore brands are transient to many people, and they're passing on. Sorry if there's any Nokia people in the room, but they used to believe at one point they had huge loyalty and nothing could be eroded, but they saw how quickly that left when actually they lost the product advantage. And that's also a worry, which is how long can you keep product differentiation for? Let's say you have a really amazing sort of breakthrough and you get through, unless you get a patent on that, which is also debatable these days, you're going to be matched up very quickly. So the area of loyalty, which used to be based on trust, on product and reliability in all these areas, has to shift to some other spaces. Might be based on relationship, might be based on service, might be based on experience, might be just based on knowing you, but that's the problem with loyalty. It's been built on old school models, and we have to find new models with new technology to attack that.
Yeah, just to add on that one, you're absolutely right. I mean, it used to be that somebody produces some hardware and then China copies it and then you're out of the market already, right? But for us, we're e-commerce, so we have a lot of competitors. What is it that we can do that actually creates brand loyalty? Our solution is kind of simple. So you could buy diapers at Tesco Lotus, or you could buy diapers at Macy's, can you? But you know what I mean, right? You walk into a mall and then you feel like, okay, I feel like I'm part of Macy's and that's a brand extension of me and Macy gets me or whatever, rather than go into a Tesco and then buy diapers there. So for me, it's this, the service that we can compete with, the brand value, how the consumer is associated to me and likewise as well. So yeah, I think their brand loyalty is still majorly big. It just depends how you do it.
So what's an example of something that you've done that was outside what your brand usually does, which is sell stuff, to extend that image?
Well, for us, because we're women, but also lifestyle, one of our verticals is health. So what we do is we actually have loyalty programs where we actually give out members or redemption for spa treatments, and stuff like that. So with that, people understand that we understand lifestyle, and with that, you also give them a perk, and it keeps them coming back as well. So it's loyalty that we get them, they get us, and yeah.
Well, StarHub likes to be seen as a kinder, gentler telco in Singapore. As you know, telcos are very, very competitive, right? So today, if you see our advertisement, it doesn't talk about StarHub. It talks about, happy people. I mean, people are saying that Singapore is one of the most unhappiest societies. So we get examples of why people are happy. Aside from that, we also want to, because our corporate color is green, we want to actually be seen as a green company. So today, we have in our outlets many bins. They allow people to recycle their old phones or computers and all the electronic stuff. And with that, we are trying to show that the society at large, that we are a responsible corporation that also cares about Mother Earth.
And we were talking about Gap in China, right?
We were. Yeah. We had this game
was
earlier that she was
interesting.
going to ask me things and I was going to pretend I didn't know what she was talking about.
Just to make it really awkward
Just
as
to
it
mix
is right
things up
now.
a bit. No, yeah, I mean, Gap is a brand that and you know, another brand that we're passionate about, and here's a brand which is a quintessential American brand, born in 1969 in that spirit of Generation Gap, all about freedom and liberation and American values, and they're coming to China in a world where they're not premium, so that's bad, and they're not values, so that's bad. They're kind of in the middle, and so you'd say, well, that's difficult. How do you take those values in and make it work in China? Because just on the product, it's a hoodie and it's a T-shirt, and there's lots of hoodies and T-shirts to buy. And so we had to spend a lot of time working out what freedom and liberation meant in a Chinese context, and kind of the insight was that no brand had gone to them and said, you know what, freedom and liberation means that you can be an equal to the world. And that freedom and liberation means you can stand up and be recognized. I'm China, and I'm as good as anywhere on the planet, and if not better. And most brands had come to them saying, you know, we're from here, we're from there, we're better than you, and you should buy us. So we went as equals. We went as America and China come together in partnership. We found, you know, the best DJs in America and the best DJs in China and put them together in collaboration. Best artists and best musicians, Pharrell and China's artists, have got them together. And this notion of let's gap together, let's collaborate, let's be equals, was the spirit of liberation. It took the values from America and put them in a Chinese context, and it really worked. And yes, there was e-commerce, and yes, there was experience, and yes, there was retail. But to a few people's points, you had to know what you stood for and what your relevancy was and what are you connecting with. So then you could put all the technology and the infrastructure behind it.
Yeah, it's interesting, like knowing about a local context really helps. And so you are mainly based in Europe and the US. So I don't know how much work you've done here in the region, but can you give us like a little bit of a comparison? Like what things worked really well in your markets, and you know, do you think it's ripe here? Or you guys may be able to.
We're just moving to Asia, but in Europe, I don't think there's nobody says it's easy to connect the online and offline worlds. I think there's most organizations, there's this internal competition between the e-commerce department and the brick and mortar stores. Stores think the e-commerce steals the clients. E-commerce simply thinks the stores don't know how to do business in this world of today. Better organizations are looking at omni-channel. Really, they are saying, okay, our organization is not siloed into online and offline, but they have to work together. And more bigger organizations are saying, you know, head of retail is responsible for all of the channels, whichever they might be.
Yeah, actually, one of the biggest challenges, and actually I want to get everyone's opinion on this, one of the biggest challenges for us is, because we do a lot of offline, is tracking offline. And like, how do you measure offline? I mean, obviously online you have these UTMs and you set up campaign managers and you do all of that stuff. But like, whenever we do fashion shows and then we see an uptick with the with the people coming in, the conversion rates, all this other stuff, I mean, are there any solutions that you've seen that have you?
We generally have to build them.
Right? Yeah. I've been
so generally they're bespoke because most clients have some of their own platforms and metrics and systems. Then there's some you pull off the shelf and put them together. So normally it's a bespoke solution as opposed to here's one tailored solution that you get. So unfortunately it requires a bit of work.
Yeah,
but if there's some startups in the audience, maybe that's an idea you can go off and work on.
Come see me. Yeah.
Usually, I think this is really what is really cool about this world of the future of retail is today here. There's those startups that will be creating this new experience that we'll be all looking at and thinking, why didn't we have that before? And I'm sure there's a number of those startups already here today.
And actually, people shouldn't worry about, like, because for me, I'm not going to take your idea. I want to API it. I just don't want to build it anymore, you know, because it's like all the time that I'm wasting, I'd rather just be doing what I'm better at. So you know.
So we have like 1 minute to go. So I just want to ask you guys, you already started us on the path to that, but what's like your biggest pain point within your business? Like what's really hard and like what do you want someone out there to build for you? Like if
I can start. I think essentially for a telco, it's a very competitive market, and with all the OTT apps, actually challenges our business model. The reason we're here is because the ideas are out there. you guys have the ideas to help us to disrupt and also grow business, not only in the core business, but adjacent businesses. So we are very happy to try and see, let's work together to create a brave new world.
We say life in constant beta, and so there's that always startup mentality, you can fail. However, the bigger you get, the more likely we can fail. And so there just needs to be a little bit more risk in what we do, and so be prepared that it's not going to work and it's beta, and don't worry, we'll fix it. So just more playing and more experimentation.
To be more tolerant of Google Glasses.
More tolerant of fail and good. Yeah, Google Glasses is a good example. It failed, but does it really matter? What did they learn? What's next? Because it was never going to be Google Glasses as the end product. It was always going to be a step along the way somewhere. So don't worry about it. Same for all our businesses. Play and fail a little bit, but we're all in listed companies mainly. So once you go from startup to listed company, the pressure to not fail becomes bigger. And so that spirit needs to be in bigger companies, not just these startups.
I'm going to stand by that same thing, the online to offline tracking, measurement tools. And the other one is HR, actually.
Loyalty cards are a good way. I don't know if it works for you, but it works for like Tesco. That's the way they marry their online and offline.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, they know where people live because they sign up for loyalty cards and stuff like that. Maybe something to try.
Yeah, I know. There we go.
I'll take from what Matt said about failure. And startups, the mentality of startups is we can go and try harder and then fail and try again. When the company grows bigger, you start outsourcing the failure. FitsMe acquired its first acquisition last November from New York. We are looking at another one. It's a way to innovate, letting those dozens of startups try new ideas. Perhaps 11 out of a dozen will fail, and you then go and acquire the one that actually succeeded. I mean, look at the investment you save yourself, all the investment that went into dozen startups. Right. And you actually go and acquire just one that succeeded.
Yeah, that's WP's entire business model. That's how we let the industry play and fail, and then we buy the successful ones. It's just how everybody's working. So somebody's got to experiment, particularly in these areas. Okay,
so the big takeaway is do loads of experiments and fail.
And track it.
And have fun with your real world shops. Don't close them quite yet, right?
No, play with them.
Play with them.
Yeah, play with them. Don't keep them the same though. They will close if you keep them the same. You've got to innovate
I was saying this yesterday. We were talking about how if you're doing the same business in 5 years as you're doing today, you won't exist. Yeah. So, yeah, and I think we're at zero. So
Thank you.
there are more questions here for you guys, lots of votes. So maybe you can talk to people in the audience after and go through these and see if you can impart some more wisdom.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.